Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. In a rare cross-border attack in Myanmar, the Indian Army avenges last week's massacre of 18 soldiers in Manipur's Chandel district, claims more attacks are planned after intelligence inputs from Myanmar. The Union Cabinet will meet this morning. It is likely to discuss increasing MSP for Kharif crop amid predictions of a deficient monsoon. Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi to demand a probe into the alleged phone tapping of his legislators by the Telangana government. In a fresh crackdown against NGOs, the government cancels licenses of close to 4,500 entities. Key universities receiving foreign funds will be impacted by the decision. And British MPs back Prime Minister David Cameron's EU referendum plan, initiates a review of UK's 40 years of association with the Union. Our top focus on the bulletin this morning. Special forces of the Indian Army have carried out a strike inside Myanmar, killing over 15 insurgents who are believed to be responsible for the deadly ambush on an army convoy in Manipur last week. 18 soldiers of the 6th Dogra Infantry Regiment died in that attack. Here's a detailed report.
Hitting out at the militants who ambushed an army convoy in Manipur last week, commandos of the Indian Army's Special Forces carried out a strike. The strike was based on specific intelligence inputs in coordination with authorities in Myanmar. The operation was carried out along the Indo-Myanmar border at two locations, along Nagaland and Manipur. Two militant groups, NSCNK and KYKL, are believed to have suffered significant casualties.
Early this morning, the Indian Army engaged two separate groups of militants along the Indo-Myanmar border at two different locations along the Nagaland and Manipur border. And as a consequence of this operation, threats to our civilian population and the security forces personnel have been averted.
The strike followed credible and specific intelligence received in the last few days about further attacks that were being planned within the Indian territory.
Destroyed two militant camps in Myanmar, and there was also evidence and intelligence of a strike that was likely building up on India again. And the Prime Minister will take all necessary measures to protect the country. It's a new nation and it will protect itself no matter what.
Attacks were to be carried out by some of those groups which had been involved in attacks on security forces personnel earlier and some of their allies. And based on the intelligence that had been gathered by us, we conducted operations to counter these attacks.
Asserting that any threat to the security, safety and national integrity would meet a firm response, the army said it would do anything to ensure peace and tranquility along the border and in the border states.
The Indian Army, Indian security forces have sent a very strong message. That's point number one. Point number two is it was a very bold political decision. Unless political clearance is taken, you cannot go across into another country. Good day for the Indian security forces, and therefore one must compliment a very well coordinated operation done by the government and the Indian security forces.
On June 4th, 18 soldiers were killed in an ambush near a village close to the Myanmar border. The attack came after the NSC and Kaplang group abrogated ceasefire with the centre this year, raising concerns of fresh militant activity in the region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning to talk about this very bold attack is strategic expert RSN Singh. Good morning, RSN. Thank you for joining us on the program. A very rare attack carried out by the Indian Armed Forces on foreign soil. It doesn't usually happen, but nonetheless a very brave and a very bold move.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the message that has emerged out of this, and which people must understand, that you cannot create a favorable security or insurgency environment, a counter-insurgency environment in the northeast without taking the complementarity of Myanmar into account. And I would say even the more significant aspect is that we know that there was a Chinese hand in this entire entire attack that took place. And the Myanmar has given very strong signals to China as well. So that to that extent, it's a very, very successful, I would say, diplomacy. The third aspect I would emphasize is that look, if you are really serious about, look east or act east, then you have to reclaim Northeast as soon as possible. And it is not only these insurgent groups, NSCNK and NSC and IM, tapping into this, terror business in the Northeast. It is the Pak ISI, the LET, to your surprise. There is an organization, People's United Liberation Front in Manipur, which sends its cadres to POK for training. And their leaders are based in Chandel district of Manipur, where this attack has, ambush has taken place. Now, then there are any number of, ultra-leftist organizations in Manipur. By the way, as per the MHA, out of 65 terrorist groups, 34 are in Manipur. And most of these are ultra-leftist groups having links with the Maoists in the hinterland. Then tapping into this terror is also, there are many NGOs, who are in this extractive activism. So if you really want Northeast to act as a bridge to Southeast Asia and be a part of your Act East policy, this has to be reclaimed. And
it has to be reclaimed.
Yes.
But a strong message has been sent out to India's enemies through this attack, hasn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you will find the difference in the environment after this particular operations.
This ambush, this attack carried out by the militants came at a time when, several of these northeastern states have been talking about repealing the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. After this particular attack, what do you see happening?
See, there is some talk of, change in the nature of border guards on the Indo-Myanmar border. Now, I would suggest is that, look, it's a very different kind of a border. Firstly, you have no border disputes with Myanmar. There are no fixed defenses. So, and I told you about the complementarity of Myanmar. Now, to my mind, you should not do anything, to militarize the border as such. You may have your security arrangements at play. For God's sake, don't militarize it. Because then, you are creating a totally new paradigm between India and Myanmar. So I would suggest that, this entire border management is dealt with, dealt in a very careful and mature manner. And as far as ASPA is concerned, I mean, the jury is out after this attack. First, reclaim these areas, as I told you. And there are any number of players. And also, I must add here that as per my reading, it is, everybody saying NSCNK or, some other groups. But there are also groups in collusion within Manipur which were part of this attack. Now, I don't know, something must have, some operations must be going on against them also. But the fact of the matter is that what was the objective of this attack? To my mind, it was to sabotage Mr. Modi's visit to Bangladesh.
All right.
And it was not only Mr. Modi who was the target, Sheikh Hasina was also a target, because there were huge strategic gains that India made during both the countries, I would say, and the ISI and the powers that be and the Chinese, they felt the carpet being pulled under their feet.
Yes, indeed. All right, Arasan Singh, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us. Well, moving on now, Swedish Defence Minister Peter Hultqvist will arrive today on a 4-day visit to India. During the trip, he is expected to offer Gripen NG fighter aircraft or a possible joint collaboration in manufacturing single-engine light combat planes to India. He is scheduled to hold talks with Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar today. Hultqvist will also visit the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited and Bharat Electronics Limited units in Bengaluru. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis had said that his government was in talks with Swedish defence company Saab Group to set up a production unit in his state. Parikar has said that Tejas, India's indigenous light combat aircraft, would be the replacement of the aging MiG-21 fleet. DRDO had sought Saab's help in the Mark II version of Tejas a few years ago. Saab is likely to insist on a government-to-government deal if they step in to assist India in developing and manufacturing a light fighter. India and Sweden had on June 1st signed several agreements to boost ties and decided to restart the bilateral strategic dialogue besides finding ways for investment in India's defence sector under the ambitious Make in India initiative. Moving on now, the Cabinet will meet at 10:30 a.m. this morning. According to sources, it is likely to discuss increasing the minimum support price of Kharif crop for the 2015-16 season. According to officials, the Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices had recommended 50 rupees a quintal increase in paddy MSP for the season. MSP of all food grains since the Modi government came to power has not risen by more than 50 rupees. The talk of higher MSP for paddy comes at a time when there are doubts about the strength of the monsoon rains. A deficient monsoon has raised concerns that it might aggravate the agrarian crisis after unseasonal rains damaged a large amount of the rabi crop this year. Meanwhile, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi today to demand a probe into the alleged phone tapping of Andhra ministers and MPs by the Telangana government. Naidu is expected to demand proper implementation of Section 8 of Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act relating to the role of the governor in maintaining law and order in the common capital, Hyderabad. The latest round of face-off between Naidu and his Telangana counterpart was triggered following release of tapes allegedly with his recordings in the Cash for Vote scam. A TDP MLA has been arrested by the Telangana Anti-Corruption Bureau in the case. Naidu has alleged this is political vendetta by the Telangana government. Let's take a look now at news and events lined up for today in our segment, The Day Ahead. President Pranab Mukherjee will administer the oath of office to the new chiefs of Central Vigilance Commission and Central Information Commission at the Rashtrapati Bhavan today. Newly appointed CVC KV Chowdhury and CIC Vijay Sharma's appointments were approved by the President on Tuesday, a week after a panel led by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi recommended their names. The two posts had been lying vacant for over 9 months. But it's the last day of filing nominations for the by-polls in 5 states. 6 seats in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Tripura and Meghalaya will be up for grabs. The by-polls will be crucial for Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha, who is seeking election from RK Nagar constituency after her acquittal in a DA case. Polling will be held on June 27th and the counting of votes will take place on June 30th. BJP President Amit Shah will be on his maiden visit to Karnataka today. He will address a public rally at the Maharaja College grounds in Mysuru. During the rally, Shah will brief party workers on the importance of several welfare projects introduced by the central government. He will also lay the foundation stone for the new office of the BJP in Mysuru. NCP will observe its 16th Foundation Day today in Patna. Around 9,000 NCP cadre leaders, including Party President Sharad Pawar, National General Secretary Tariq Anwar and former Union Minister Praful Patel are attending the 2-day convention which began on Tuesday. The party members will also elect the NCP National President and office bearers today. A Pakistani anti-terrorism court will resume the hearing in the 26/11 attack trial against 7 accused, including mastermind Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, in the 6th consecutive hearing since his release from jail in April this year. Lakhvi has not appeared in the court even once. The Islamabad High Court has given a 2-month deadline which ends in mid-June to the trial court to conclude the case. Meanwhile, in another round of action against non-governmental organizations, the centre has cancelled the license of 4,470 entities. The list includes top universities like DU and JNU, the Supreme Court Bar Association and Escorts Heart Institute. The cancellation means these bodies can't receive foreign funds. The decision to cancel the registration of these entities under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act was taken by the Union Home Ministry after examination of their activities that allegedly include non-filing of annual returns, among others. Other prominent organizations whose licenses were cancelled include Punjab University, Gujarat National Law University, Gargi College, Lady Irwin College, Vikram Sarabhai Foundation and Kabir, floated by Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. In the last round of crackdown, licenses of nearly 9,000 NGOs were cancelled in April last year for alleged violation of Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. It's time for a short break now, but still to come. EU referendum bill passes first hurdle in the House of Commons. That and much more coming up on the other side. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Get live Rajya Sabha session. News, views, reports and analysis you can trust on social media. Subscribe, follow, like Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Congress President Sonia Gandhi led her party's charge against the Modi government at the Congress CM's conclave yesterday. She accused the centre of false promises and of playing a dangerous game of fomenting communal polarization. This was the first meeting of Congress CM since the party lost the Lok Sabha election last year.
A combative Congress president taking the NDA government at the centre head-on. Addressing the meeting of chief ministers from party-ruled states, Sonia Gandhi alleged that the government was engaging in a double game, taking off good governance on the one hand while fomenting communal polarization on the other.
We then also discussed the UPA, our own UPA programs, yojanas, which have actually been appropriated by the Modi government with slight changes here and there.
Sonia also called upon the chief ministers to work with the centre in the best interest of their states, but also confront the Modi government when it works against public interest. Party Vice President Rahul Gandhi also slammed the government.
यूनिवर्सली सीएम्स ने कहा कि मोदी सरकार कहती है कि सीएम्स को पैसा दे रही है, मगर एक हाथ से देती है पैसा, दूसरे हाथ से लेती है, पीछे आगे से देती है, पीछे से लेती है. तो ये बात उठी. दूसरी बात उठी कि जो हमारे किसान हैं, गरीब लोग हैं, उनको सरकार बिल्कुल भूल गई है. तो हमने चीफ मिनिस्टर से कहा कि जो गैप दिल्ली की सरकार बना रही है, उनका फोकस गरीब जनता पे, कमजोर जनता पे होना चाहिए.
Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also addressed the conclave. He faulted the Narendra Modi dispensation for hastily abolishing the Planning Commission. Singh also took a dig at the BJP for obstructing the GST bill when the UPA was in power, while it brought to back it now when it was in power.
कांग्रेस के मुख्यमंत्रियों ने कहा है साफ भाषा में कि 2013 के भूमि अधिग्रहण कानून के संशोधन के खिलाफ हैं.
The day-long meeting deliberated on the strategy to oppose the NDA government, mainly on legislations like the Land Bill and the Food Security Law that the party has termed anti-poor. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a roundup of the other national news in our segment Nationwide. IRCTC is offering passengers waitlisted tickets or an option to convert it into an airline ticket at a competitive fare. The scheme applies to tickets booked at least 3 days prior to the date of journey. The flight tickets would be made available only for the day of the train journey or a day after that. Passengers booking train tickets right from sleeper class to AC coaches can avail the facility. IRCTC has already sold about 100 tickets through this scheme. The country's low-cost Mars mission has been presented with the Space Pioneer Award for the year 2015 by the US National Space Society. The National Space Society of the United States of America presented the award in recognition of ISRO's efforts in accomplishing Mars mission in its very first attempt. On September 24th last year, ISRO successfully placed its low-cost Mars spacecraft in orbit around the Red Planet, breaking into an elite club of 3, US, Russia and Europe. The satellite has now entered the 15-day blackout phase. The National Capital Region is all set to get bigger. Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu has approved the inclusion of 3 new districts of Jind, Karnal and Muzaffarnagar in the region. With this, the total number of districts included in NCR from neighbouring Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan has gone up to 23. Well, moving on to some international news now, the EU referendum bill has passed the first hurdle in the House of Commons. UK lawmakers have initiated the review of 40 years of Britain's ties with the European Union. Many feel that the vote on whether UK should remain a part of the EU finally provides the public the right to have their say. But there have been mixed signals from the government over the referendum bill. Here's more.
After lengthy deliberations in the UK Parliament on Tuesday, British MPs overwhelmingly backed Prime Minister David Cameron's plan for a referendum on the UK's membership of the European Union. The vote was favoured by 544 members to 53 against. Surprisingly, it found support of the opposition Labour Party, but the government was attacked from all sides. The heated debate in the Parliament highlighted the decades-old rift within his own Conservative Party over Britain's place in Europe. Many warned that the UK would be marginalised if it left the European Union, potentially facing tariffs on imports and exports. But the Foreign Secretary advocated for the bill, saying it provides the British voters a long overdue chance to have a say on the relationship with Europe.
An entire generation of British voters has been denied the chance to have a say on our relationship with the European Union. And Mr. Speaker, today we are putting that right.
Cameron has pledged to renegotiate Britain's ties with Europe and let the voters have the final decision with an in or out referendum on EU's membership by the end of 2017. Although with several major players leaning in favour of the referendum, the vote does threaten to reopen Scotland's bid for independence. The Scottish National Party is opposed to the bill over its failure to meet standards in terms of inclusivity and democratic participation. The bill also threatens to force Scotland out of the EU against its will. Scottish nationalists say they could demand a rerun of last year's failed independence vote if England votes to leave the EU but Scotland votes to stay.
It would be outrageous, disgraceful, undemocratic and unacceptable to drag Scotland out of the European Union against the wishes and will of the Scottish people.
But this is only the second hearing of the bill. The lawmakers will further debate the bill and propose amendments which can be added before a third and final hearing. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And here's a look now at what else is making news across the world in our segment World Wrap. The California retrial for a US Marine whose platoon killed an Iraqi civilian in 2006 began on Tuesday. Prosecutors argued that the killing was motivated by a desire to send a message to a resistant Iraqi village. Sergeant Lawrence Hutchins was initially convicted of murder but was later overturned. He could now be sentenced to serve out the remainder of his 11-year term. Fierce clashes erupted in Aden on Tuesday between Houthi rebels and exiled President Mansour Hadi's supporters. The forces managed to hold their positions despite a major onslaught by the Houthi rebels. Despite more than 11 weeks of Saudi-led airstrikes throughout the country, Houthis remained firmly in control of large swathes, including the capital, Sana'a. Following the recapturing of Tikrit, Iraqi forces have now recaptured most parts of the oil refinery town of Beji. Troops have taken control of the government's office building and the main mosque of the town. They vowed to continue advance to clear the remaining part of the district from the terrorist group. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he hoped moderate Arab states could influence the Palestinians to return to negotiations to effect a two-state solution. Netanyahu blamed the Palestinians for the 14-month impasse in talks but said he felt there was a chance to renew them. Netanyahu vehemently opposed Palestinian efforts to force a peace deal on Israel through proposals by world powers, saying that they would prove to be counterproductive. Moving on to some sports news now, India will take on Bangladesh in the one-off test match at Fatula today. The new test captain Virat Kohli remains positive to make a winning start to the series. However, after a stellar performance against Pakistan at home recently, Bangladesh is confident to give India a tough contest. Here's more.
The spotlight will be now on Test skipper Virat Kohli as India is set to take on Bangladesh in the one-off test. Kohli's focus on winning test matches more than the process of learning has triggered a positive approach way before the first ball is bowled.
Well, it is pretty special. I guess I never thought I'll be, at 26 I'll be captaining the Indian test side. My only dream as a child was to play test cricket for India, but over the years I have, sort of matured in my mind, and the people around me from BCCI and my teammates thought that I was the right guy for the job, and I'm pretty grateful for that. And I have some vision in my mind which I have discussed with all the players in the team, and we are all on the same page. So it is pretty exciting for me to start as a full-time test captain, and hopefully it's a positive start.
Despite odds being heavily in favour of India, Bangladesh will be no pushovers. After impressive performances against Pakistan at home, it would like to stage a similar show in Fatullah.
I think India also is a strong side, and I think it's a 50-50 at this stage, and they have a couple of good spinners in their lineup, so that will affect on the game here tomorrow, I think. So hopefully if our batsmen apply themselves in the middle, I think it will be a very good game for us also.
This is the first time that India is touring Bangladesh in 5 years. Their most recent encounter in World Cup was mired in controversy over umpiring decisions. However, the team feels all that will not impact this game. Bureau Report, Sabha TV.
Well, let's now take a look at what else is happening around the world in sports arenas in our sports beat. England defeated World Cup finalist New Zealand by 210 runs in the first ODI at Birmingham, powered by Joe Root and Joss Butler's quick-fire hundreds. Owen Morgan's side hammered 408 for 9, their best score in ODIs. England then bowled New Zealand out for 198 to record their biggest ODI victory in terms of runs. Rafael Nadal has dropped to the 10th spot in the latest world rankings, his lowest position in more than a decade. The Spaniard has fallen after losing to world number 1 Novak Djokovic in the French Open quarterfinals last week. It is Nadal's lowest ranking since he was 11th as a teenager in April 2005. Swiss Stan Wawrinka, who beat Djokovic at the Roland Garros men's singles title on Sunday, has climbed to the 4th spot. Barcelona coach Luis Enrique has ended speculation over his future at the club by extending his contract until 2017. Under Enrique, the Spanish club won a treble this season, which included the Champions League, La Liga and Copa del Rey titles. Replacing Pep Guardiola, this was Enrique's first season at Barcelona. World champions Germany are back on the field to train for their friendly against the United States today. This will be Germany's third clash against the US, which is coached by former German striker Jürgen Klinsmann. US had defeated Germany 4-3 in a friendly in 2013. However, Germany won their World Cup group match 1-0 last year en route to winning the tournament in Brazil. Well, that's it on this edition of the Breakfast News. Have a nice day.